Good morning, everybody. Perfect. All right, audio is working. Let's go ahead and dive right into this. So, we have a couple updates to talk about in regards to the upcoming pattern of severe weather. Starting with today, we do have a low end risk today out in Illinois for damaging winds and large hail, be a possibility out in dark green areas. Overall, not a very high risk today. It's quite subtle. One or two storms may go severe. We'll watch that closely. Not expecting too much to happen out there. So the main concern we are continuing to watch here is going to be Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. We've been talking about this for a few days now, almost a week straight, mentioning the possibility of an active pattern here, potential severe weather, and that continues to trend that way. We're still 4 or so days out from this, so we still have some time to really get down to the nitty gritty details here. But we do have some risk areas now from the SPC that have been in place now. Starting with Tuesday, let's go ahead and figure this out real quick. Hop over here to the regional look. Starting with, okay, well, before we hop into there, I do want to mention this as well. Ohio has been added to a risk now. I just saw this now for tomorrow, Sunday. So Eastern Ohio looks like there's a threat out there. We'll cover that more in detail if necessary. It looks like it's just for wind, no hail, no tornadoes out there for tomorrow. The main concern here is going to be for Tuesday. All of Indiana, all of Illinois, Southwest Michigan, West Ohio, South Wisconsin. So a good chunk of our region here in place here of a level 2 out of 5, with 5 being the worst. This is a level 2 severe risk in place from the SPC. Now, when we look at models and overlap of wind shear instability, that kind of ingredients overlaps quite well here within those risk areas. We see it here at 5 p.m. So 8 p.m. on Tuesday. We see the reddish grayish color there would be your highest amount of overlapping ingredients. Up here in the yellows, still a good amount there. It brushes up just to the Wisconsin border here, Southwest Michigan, most of Ohio here. So that general area we're seeing with the SPC guidance here, really good placement from the SPC, I think. Would definitely be on alert for Tuesday. But we also have another threat here for Wednesday as well. It did shift it further to the south here for right now. But keep in mind, we're going to have to add that marginal risk around the slight risk, and potentially they're talking about upgrading this to an enhanced risk as well. Got a bug flying around me. Sorry about that. So we could see an upgrade here to an enhanced risk for Wednesday. They mentioned that in their discussion this morning. So we'll have to watch that. But keep in mind, if you're on the north side of that and also on the east side of that through Ohio, maybe Michigan, Wisconsin, likely going to have a lower end risk extend further to the north to cover mainly probably going to be a wind and hail threat. But if you are in the heart of this risk here, looking at models, stuff like that, we are becoming more so concerned here for an all hazards threat, meaning tornadoes, wind, and hail would be the main hazards here. I do think wind is going to be your primary concern with this. I'm seeing more of what we call like a linear type of system, more so than we're seeing individual supercells. Not to say they're not going to happen, but I think this is going to be more of a wind and hail type of event with isolated tornadoes, more than a pure tornado outbreak, so to speak, or tornado risk. So that's going to be something to watch here as we get in the day 2, day 3 time frame here. We're going to be getting into the nitty gritty details. But keep in mind that we could have a secondary threat on Wednesday for the exact same areas, essentially. So back-to-back days, we're watching how Tuesday plays out will affect Wednesday. So we're not going to be too sure on Wednesday just yet. So we're just going to focus on Tuesday more so for right now. Looking at other ingredients here, we do have a couple other things we can look at. For example, we can look at the GFS model here on their wind shear, looking at a couple of things here. Just breaking this down, it just overall looks like it's going to be more so a wind type of event here, more so than just those isolated supercells that could produce, very large hail and tornadoes. But anything's possible. We're still 4 days out. Looking at everything, we're having everything line up here. We got the wind directions here. We got the wind speeds lining up perfectly. We have an increase of the yellow here over the area. And I guess continues down and up with height there as well. So we're just looking at a plethora of ingredients here that are starting to come together for this event. We're not going to break down too detailed. I know it can get a little confusing here, but overall, keep in mind Tuesday, Wednesday, possible severe threats: Illinois, Indiana, West Ohio, South Michigan, South Wisconsin are the main areas to be in concern, but likely going to see that shift around and kind of expect the marginal risk to be added into this as well. So we could see a good expansion of that risk area possible. Next update is at 3 in the morning tonight. We'll hit the day 3 time frame. We'll get the marginal risk. We'll have the hazards. We'll have all sorts of information tomorrow morning to share with you guys. But this continues to be on track here for parts of the region. Timing on this, again, a little bit too early to call, but for Tuesday, focusing on Tuesday, afternoon, evening type of event, potentially if you're in the eastern part of the region like Ohio, potentially overnight type of event. Be on alert for that. But again, we're going to get down with the details here tomorrow at the very soonest. So, any questions, guys? Yes, all of Indiana would be in this thread as well as all of Illinois. So technically, if you live in those 2 states, be aware not only Tuesday but potentially for Wednesday as well. We'll have to watch Wednesday as well. I do want to mention here, we posted on our page what we call the CSU learning model. It has done a really good job placing the higher risk areas here. So this is a probability map. It's not meant to be an SPC risk map. It's just a model spitting out probabilities. And we can see the highest for Tuesday is basically centered exactly where they placed that slight risk on the SPC outlook here. It matches pretty well. They're saying the highest risk, according to their model here, is going to be placed here in southern Indiana, close to, we'll say, Vincent's Terre Haute area, with this black box there, so to speak. That's your highest risk that this model's inputting here. But it also says Wednesday is a much higher probability according to this model. But I don't want to get too much weight into that just yet, just because how Tuesday plays out may very well affect how Wednesday plays out here. We could have outflow boundaries that could shift risks. We could have cloud cover that doesn't allow the atmosphere to destabilize, stuff like that. So right now, let's just focus on Wednesday or focus on Tuesday, but keep in mind that Wednesday could also be a day to watch. What weather app do I use? So if you're talking like for daily forecasts and stuff like that, there really isn't a professional weather app for that. I have Weather Underground. I found that to be pretty accurate most of the time. No weather app is going to be 100% accurate, and some of them actually are pretty inaccurate in my opinion. But Weather Underground seems to do a pretty good job with daily forecast, stuff like that. If you want radar, though, strictly a radar app would be Radar Scope. It costs money, but that's one of the best ones on the market. Hello from Northeast Ohio. What's up, Jas, Kim, Devin, Jeannie, Max, Jessica, Anita, Eric, Jeanette. You guys got a good crowd in here today. Love the interaction, you guys. Sheila, yes, both days. We're going to focus on Tuesday now, but keep in mind risk could be possible on Wednesday as well. All of Indiana would be in that slight risk area here for Tuesday. Is Rushville in that black area? I believe it is. If not, just close to it, if not in it. What's up, Alan? AccuWeather is not bad in terms of daily forecast. AccuWeather, I will say, is terrible for predicting severe weather. They seem to give a little bit biased of a. They kind of like let's just say they hype it up a little bit. I don't like that a lot from AccuWeather, but overall they're not bad with daily forecasts. Any other questions, guys? Do you think we're going to get a strong tornado next week? I don't think that's the case. Still, I really don't think that's the case. I do think there's a possibility of tornadoes. I don't think we're going to be, calling them strong tornadoes. I think the significant risk with this is going to be more so potentially significant wind and maybe some significant hail. I don't see much in a way that indicates, hey, we're going to have tornadoes that could potentially be strong. I just don't see that right now. So roughly speaking, Tuesday afternoon till Thursday afternoon is expected to have severe potential. Jess, I'm going to basically say Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday evening. I think the cutoff there for Wednesday evening would be okay. Of course, timing and stuff is going to be really impacted here by Tuesday. So we're not going to get too detailed just yet, but this risk should be over for the majority of us by Wednesday night, by the time that rolls around. Thursday could have a risk further to the south and to our east, say West Virginia, perhaps Kentucky, Pennsylvania. Those areas potentially on Thursday, but after we get through the night on Wednesday, we'll be fine here in the region. Is Northern Ohio in a risk? Northwest Ohio, yes, on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, technically West Ohio, more so Southwest Ohio. But keep in mind, we're going to probably have an expansion of what we call the marginal risk. Again, day 4 through 8 outlooks like we're seeing here don't include the dark green area. We call it a marginal risk. So you're likely going to have one of those surrounding it. So it's possible we're going to see an expansion there into your area there. So day 3 outlook will have that, comes out tomorrow morning. That'll be for Tuesday. And then tomorrow evening, we'll have the day 3 time frame for Wednesday as well. So we'll have updates here next 48 hours for you. Yeah, we plan to go live here, at least for our radar coverage. We're likely going to have chasers in the field as well, across more than likely Indiana, Michigan, perhaps West Ohio, depending on where the exact threat will set up here. We will likely have chasers out, so we'll have you guys covered from live chasing aspect and also radar if need be. What time does the SPC day start and end? So that really technically 8 p.m. is the new day. Excuse me, is when the new day resets. 8 p.m. Eastern equals 00Z in Zulu time, which is the time frame they use. And that 00Z time is how everything kind of resets there. So 8 p.m. No, Devin, we're not going to know that really until day 2. So we're not going to know that. What is today? We're not going to know that until Monday morning, what the exact hazard is going to be for Tuesday. And then Tuesday morning will be for Wednesday's threat. But again, I can tell you that from what I'm looking at here, I do see potential here for a couple tornadoes. I don't really see much in the way that says they're going to be strong in nature. I can't ever remember the Z time frame conversion. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, especially if you have background like military and stuff like that. Like military time it can be hard enough, but then you got to add in Zulu time. They're all different. So when you have knowledge of all three, it just complicates things even more. I found myself, I had to stop and check. Like, what is 18Z again? Is that 2 p.m. or is that like 4 p.m.? Like, it's just, it takes some learning, that's for sure. 1800 hours would be 6 p.m. in military time, but 18 in Zulu time would be 2 p.m. 11:47 here in Vincennes. Yep, it is 11:48 up here where I am in Southeast Michigan. Converted to Zulu time, that is 15:48. And for military time, that's just plain old 1100 hours. All right, guys. Any other questions? Rich, possibly. Watching Tuesday, we actually have a risk there in Michigan, Southwest Michigan for Tuesday. Bring it up here full for you guys so you can see a little bit zoomed in. There's your risk here for Tuesday for Michigan. So, Rich, I'm familiar. I've talked with you on the Michigan Storm Chaser page before. So, over in your area, you technically are outside the risk. But keep in mind, we're likely going to see the expansion of that as we get into the day 2 time frame. Probably be a slight or potentially a marginal risk. So, a risk to watch for Tuesday, potentially Wednesday as well. Vincent's, what time should I watch? I'm not going to really get a good start time on this just yet. I would say Tuesday afternoon would be the time to watch for you guys, though, for this risk to begin. we'll have exact timing and stuff like that. I'm going to say probably pretty well pat down by tomorrow evening. A reason we get specific around day 2 and day 3 time frames is because a lot of times these systems, they come offshore off to our west. When they finally hit shore, we can send like balloons up to measure like atmospheric data and stuff like that. So the whenever that begins, it can vary depending on the speed of the storm and stuff like that. But whenever we can get that storm on land and sample it like real hard data, that's when we have more so confidence with the model data and stuff like that, because that data that's recorded can be put in the models, and then the models become more accurate. So that day 2, day 3 time frame can be really vital to forecasting. I think Sunday night. I mean, we're probably not gonna go live till Sunday night, but I mean, by Monday morning, we're gonna have everything pretty much locked down here for you guys. At least we should. Some systems, there are some systems that throw wrenches in the forecast, stuff like that. Right. But timing wise, hazard wise, we should know exactly what we're dealing with here at the very least by Monday. No problem, Rich. Can we do a sounding for Terre Haute for Tuesday? So I really don't like pulling soundings this far in advance because things change so often. I think it's best just to wait until we get into the range of, say, like the NAM model, the RFS, the HRRR, like the short-term models. But I can pull one here just to kind of ease your mind if you want me to here. This is going to be for Tuesday. You said Terre Haute, that general area. A lot of it's just going to depend on exactly how everything's going to set up with it. So one thing I noticed with this, number one, your spin in the atmosphere is lacking big time here. There's not much spin. There is a lot of instability, but that's about it. I'm seeing more so potentially large hail and damaging winds with this. I'm not really seeing much of a tornado risk. With the sounding, this is about half of the spin you want to see here, what we call SRH. For example, we see this is your shear profile, your wind shear profile. So we look at the surface to 1 kilometer here. We want the SRH number to be like around 200 or higher. Same thing with the 3 kilometer here. We want that to be 200 or higher. So the fact we only have 100 with this, it's not really screaming tornadoes at all. So to pay no attention, if you see this over here, it says tornado, pay no attention to that. That's just potential. A lot more goes into it than that. And I can tell you right now, this is not looking like a tornadic sounding right now. As of now, you thinking this is Illinois and Indiana event mainly? Do you think South Michigan? Okay. Good question, Brad. So the Michigan threat is going to be determined by how much moisture / instability, they go hand in hand here. How much of that can reach up into South Michigan? So right now, this is your instability model here. We're looking at this moving into Tuesday. Watch how close that is here to Michigan. We have about 500 or so up here by Grand Rapids down toward Coldwater, Hillsdale. That's all you're going to look like. It doesn't creep back into Michigan very high at all. So the main question with Michigan's threat is how far north that can get. Right now, I think South Michigan has a good threat, or a good chance, should I say, at getting into the higher instability numbers. I think that's very well placed here by the ensemble, which is like 20 members ran together. If we do that and we do the probability of that happening, we're going to see South Michigan here is in a pretty good probability area here, 60, 70% or so. So I think South Michigan will have that threat for sure. I just don't think it's going to be too far north into Michigan, if that makes sense. Back to that sounding here. I pulled one for central Indiana as well on Tuesday, a little bit later in the evening. Wind shear does increase, but we're still at marginal levels here. So again, still not overly concerned with that tornadic threat. But again, I don't like pulling these and taking these for gospel, 4 days in advance, because a lot can change between now and then. So right now, still not looking like we're seeing a big, huge tornado outbreak. Potential is there for a few, I'm going to say. But for right now, not looking like strong or very many at all. I'm not going to pull Wednesday, Devin, just because how Tuesday plays out will affect how Wednesday plays out. So pulling data for Wednesday and trying to nail down specifics is basically impossible. Anything I pull right now for that would just kind of be useless, in my opinion. Ask me again on tomorrow's stream. I might do it. But for right now, I don't think that's necessary. Tuesday, Marvin, I'd say Tuesday afternoon, evening, be aware up there in Kalamazoo. You are technically in the area of, we're technically actually in a severe risk already for Tuesday, which is right here. If you can't really see, I can zoom in for Michigan. Hold on. Give me a second here. There we go. So technically Kalamazoo is in the risk here for Tuesday, but we're not going to know details, specifics, stuff like that for a little bit longer yet. But I think afternoon, evening would be a good time frame for you. Yeah, Rich, that's Tuesday. All right, guys. Any more questions here? No problem, Genie. All right. Keep in mind you have a severe risk today if you live out in Illinois. Excuse me. Do have that risk out there for damaging winds as well as large hail. No tornado risk today for Illinois. Just going to keep in mind a couple storms out there, maybe strong to severe. And then if you're in light green, so all of Ohio, Indiana, Wisconsin, South Michigan here, probably northern Michigan here as well, you do have a shot today for an outside chance of a thunderstorm. Possible. No severe weather is expected outside that dark green area. Then also, Ohio has a severe risk here for tomorrow out in eastern central Ohio there. Damaging winds is your only concern with that threat. If anything changes, we'll let you guys know. But again, that is a low end threat again there for tomorrow. Then also light green areas outside that dark green will have a chance for a storm or two possible through the day. So with that being said, I'm going to hop off here. We'll have an update for you guys tomorrow morning. We should have more details to share with you guys as well because we do get the marginal and also general thunderstorm risks added to the outlook for tomorrow's update. So with that being said, you guys take care, stay safe, and also pay attention for future updates. You guys have a great rest of your weekend.